What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. For our first question, Jacob Fuentes and Mr. J.D. Rice both ask if we'll see any familiar crime syndicates in the Book of Boba Fett.
I hope so. That was something that I mentioned in the Book of Boba Fett trailer breakdown that we did, is that there was like someone that looked like they could have been part of Black Sun way off in the distance, and then they cut closer to him, and I was like, it's just a random Klatooinian. I thought he was a Feline, and it's not a big deal if they use a bunch of new, like, tiny criminal empires or whatever on Tatooine. But I'd really love to see some stuff that we already know exists. I'd love to see Black Sun again, the Pike Syndicate, just because I don't know, I like that stuff, and it seems a little odd to keep making up new syndicates and never revisiting the old ones.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious one seems to be the Hutt cartel.
Well, they, interestingly, might not be around anymore.
None of them?
The War of the Bounty Hunters comics kind of just...
I mean, but for people who don't read the comics, who just know who Boba Fett is, they don't expect everyone to know that, like, all the Hutts might be gone according to this comic book series.
Well, I do wonder if, and I'm going to talk about this in a separate video, but I do wonder if that was kind of a goal of War of the Bounty Hunters, was to say, like, why did they never take Tatooine back? Why did Bib Fortuna get to be in Jabba's palace? And it's because all of them are dead. Like, the whole Hutt Council was killed, and then Jabba was the only one left, and then he was killed. So I do hope Hutts are in the show. I hope the Hutt cartel isn't gone. I think they're just like, well, what do we do now?
I hope we at least see Rada the Hutt.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Everyone wants to know where Rada is all the time. We still get asked, like, every week, where's Rada? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've also seen a lot of people throw around, is Crimson Dawn going to be in the show? Because they are back. They were prominent in War of the Bounty Hunters. I'm not expecting them to be. It's one of those things that we've been talking about a lot lately, but because Crimson Dawn was so big in the comic, it probably means there aren't any future live action plans for them in this era specifically.
Yeah, and then seeing Pikes would always be fun, I think, because people would recognize them from Solo. Right.
We've seen them before. My big one is Black Sun. I've always liked them from Shadows of the Empire, and I like that they're all still Feline, so let's get some live-action Feline in there. I'm fine with some just random Trandoshans and Klatooinian... I can't even say that. Klatooinians and Aqualish. But, like, bring in some stuff that the diehards would know, too.
BB Nate wants to know if Boba Fett will be alive by the time of the sequel trilogy.
I kind of think so. I don't think they're going to kill him off, and especially not the Book of Boba Fett. They're not going to bring him back to life just to, like, murder him immediately. It's been 5 years, but for fans, it would be very quick.
Yeah. But what do you think he's doing?
I think he's probably just retired, chilling.
Do you think Han knows where he is?
Maybe he tries to keep tabs on Boba Fett just so Boba Fett doesn't come after him. Maybe they're constantly like, you cool? We cool?
I like to think that they exchange Christmas cards.
Yeah, eventually they become friends.
And they make it a yearly joke. It's like, oh, I'm coming for you.
I mean, that's something that kind of happens in Legends. I mean, I don't know that they'd ever get on good terms, but there's a point when Boba Fett and some Mandalorians like save Han from something, and I don't think Han knows it's Boba Fett, just some guy kind of gives him a look like, yeah, and then leaves. And Han's like, was that Boba Fett?
Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see where they take his character if they're doing this show for him. Because, yeah, it's like, it would be pretty anticlimactic for them to just kill him off after one season of Book of Boba Fett. But also, is he just going to ride into the sunset after doing a bunch of good deeds?
Maybe. I mean, that's a very Western thing to do.
Yeah.
To literally ride off into the twin sunset or something. I think that he's probably going to survive all of this and... yeah, go off and just do his own thing. I remember people speculating that Lor Santeca's character was going to be Boba Fett for some reason. I need to go back and like look back at all the crazy theories leading up to The Force Awakens and just people wondering. I don't even know where that rumor came from, but someone was like, "That the rumor is that's Boba Fett." And I was like, "What?"
Maybe him and Omega meet up and they retire together.
Yeah, I love that.
Sean Fitzgerald asks if Crimson Dawn will be the primary enemy of the Empire in between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Kinda seems like it. I mean, that's... Even though they didn't know what Crimson Dawn was doing in War of the Bounty Hunters right at the start, they seem to be all about creating chaos for the Emperor and the Empire. Kira, and what we've seen from Crimson Reign, knows all about the Sith and is like, they need to go. So that does seem to be her goal, is to specifically fight Vader and the Emperor. Obviously, they don't succeed really, but
yeah,
it's an interesting setup, and I could see them being a big distraction for the Empire, allowing the rebellion to recover a little bit.
So this question is coming from everything happening in the War of the Bounty Hunters comic.
Right, now that Crimson Dawn is back and being led by Kira, that's kind of, everyone's wondering where this is going to go, especially because we're going to get Crimson Reign and then the Hidden Empire. So we're just 1/3 of the way through, I guess, Kira's story, Crimson Dawn's story in this era of Star Wars.
And we've got a video coming out soon explaining all of the comics.
Yeah, I'm doing a summary of all 34 issues from War of the Bounty Hunters. I'm happy with it. It took a long time to do, but it's coming out, I think, on Tuesday, if you haven't read the comics.
Mitchell Flaherty wants to know if Rey's connection to the Force was weakened by Ben's death.
I think that's an interesting question because of the dyad and everything. I'm going to say no, because he is still within the Force. He is one with the Force now. He disappeared, so like his essence is still there.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. Like, he is now one with the Force, so it's not like he is gone completely from her Force radar.
Yeah.
So
I think that it might limit her abilities a little bit. Just, like, I don't think she could use the Force to pass the lightsaber to Finn or just another Force-sensitive broom boy, say. I think that might have been a connection just between the two of them, and he might need to physically be there for something like that to happen. But I do think that she could still, like, heal. I mean, she healed the Vexus. It's not like that was limited to, I can only heal Ben.
mm-hmm.
I think that being part of a dyad probably just opens up a lot of specialized abilities, like telemetry is supposed to be a rare gift, and Rey can do it. Healing was supposed to be rare, and she can do it, and so could Ben. So
and Baby Yoda.
But well, like that's another thing why people are like, is Baby Yoda part of a dyad? And I'm like, I don't think so. I think that he just knows how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think that's part of like it might not be a special gift for him. It's just like he's still got kind of the mind of a child's, and he seems pretty closely connected to the Force. So
I'm a toucher. I'm a heal ya.
Yeah, it's like his instinct almost kicks in, and he's like, "Oh, you're hurt. I can fix that for you."
Mm-hmm.
And like, it seems like something maybe as someone got older, they would have to really practice at that to keep that as an ability.
Maybe. I mean, I'm fine with it being a special gift. Like Quinlan Voss and Cal Kestis both have telemetry, and I think that's just something that they're good at for some reason. So I guess like dyads are just good at everything.
Caleb Diaz asks if a potential High Republic show or movie would follow existing or new characters from the era.
I might change my answer, when the whole thing is done, but I'm figuring that the publishing initiative is going to follow the full stories of several characters. So I would expect that if, or hopefully when, they do some High Republic series or movies, it'd probably follow different characters. I think it might even take place before all the books do.
Yeah, I think they've set that up well, where we're very invested in the characters that we are seeing in the books and like short stories and comics and stuff. But yeah, if there was a show or a movie, we could easily step back and look at the already established older characters and what they went through growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's true. Like, I was thinking brand new characters, but there are people like Porter Engle who are hundreds of years old, and he has lots of little like compelling tidbits that keep getting dropped, and I'm like, what's that about? So yeah, we could do either one, but I think they would probably just make up new characters.
Yeah. Mr. J.D. Rice wants to know, if an Ithorian became a Mandalorian, would it be called a Mandathorian?
I just wanted to include that to say, yes, A+ pun. Good job.
That's it for our patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon, where we leave every submitted question a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. We have tons of other rewards, like audio commentaries for the films and every new Star Wars series premiering on Disney+. We also record video reactions to every new series as we watch them for the first time. We're doing book clubs to discuss every new Star Wars book as they release. We have behind-the-scenes content, comic reactions every Wednesday, and more. All of that is available right now on our Patreon if you're interested.
On to YouTube questions. Jedi Spartan 38 asks why Rex is the only clone that refers to Palpatine as Sidious when Order 66 is activated. Ooh.
Well, we don't know for sure that he was the only one. Everyone else we saw in Revenge of the Sith said my lord. Maybe it was kind of clone preference. Like, some are like, I'm going to go with the formal my lord, but...
My lord.
My lord. Maybe once Order 66 is activated, they know who he really is, and it's kind of like a choice. Or maybe it has something to do with the fact that Rex was fighting Order 66. Like, he kind of knew what was happening. He was trying not to shoot at Ahsoka. So maybe something about that he was combating the chip, made him say Sidious instead of just my lord.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was uploaded with a more detailed spreadsheet of Order 66. I think you're right. I think they all know who he is, but they're just so regimented and like their chip is cranked up to 100% that, yeah, they're not going to call him by his name.
Mm-hmm. But we've only seen like 5 or 6 clones go through Order 66. And sure, only one of them said Sidious, but lots of other clones went through Order 66, and maybe some of them said other things. Maybe someone called him Papa Palpatine.
Maybe behind the scenes, they're like, so is Sidious our boss now? Yeah, okay, I guess. Kevin Visago wants to know how we'd feel if the Acolyte changed aspects of Darth Plagueis' character.
I'm kind of prepped for it, honestly. Like, I think it would take me some getting used to, because I really love the Legends book, but I'm not really expecting a one-to-one translation of Darth Plagueis whenever they finally reveal him or talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even sure that he'll be in the Acolyte, but if he is, I think it's bound to happen. They're bound to change some stuff about the character. Probably not a lot.
I don't know. Like, there's nothing that says in canon that he is a Mune, which he was in Legends. And I mean, so many people, I think some of the fans are ready for this anyway, just because so many people thought Snoke was Plagueis. And they were kind of like, well, that might be the route they're going, and we'll see. So I think some people are ready for a new interpretation. It will be a little strange for me. Just, again, I'm like very invested in that book. So if Darth Plagueis winds up being a human or something, I'll be like, well, okay, that's weird, but I'll get used to it.
Yeah, they just re-released, or they're about to re-release the Darth Plagueis Legends book as part of that new series.
Cover looks good.
It does look good. So I don't think they would change much about him or his story.
It's interesting that so in the Tarkin book, which is canon and by James Luceno, who wrote Darth Plagueis, there are elements of Darth Plagueis pulled into that book. So they have, but nothing specific, just like a droid that he had once and some of their relationship between Plagueis and Sidious. So they're like tiptoeing around it. But yeah, we would all love to see Plagueis in the Acolyte, but I think that's honestly a reach. I'm kind of not expecting it and hoping to be proven wrong.
Cypher Foxy asks if the Sith Emperor from the Old Republic will become canon.
I don't really think so. This is something that I gotta say, like, I'm on the outside of. I've never played the Old Republic. I know the story just based on what I've read. I know the basics of the story, I should say. And it's so very convoluted and soap opera-y. Not that, I mean, so is a lot of Star Wars, but I just don't really see them doing it. I think that, again, when they start actually visiting the Old Republic era in earnest, it's probably going to look pretty different.
So was this just like one Sith to rule them all?
Yeah, kind of
Deal?
Yeah, he does a lot, and he has like 5 different identities and a few children, and there's a lot going on.
I could see them translating that a little differently to make it where it's like a Sith council, kind of like the Gungan Council.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a few of them.
There were still a lot of Sith at that point in time, but he was just kind of like, he's the big bad of the era, I would say. Or the
he's
MMO,
Mr.
at least.
Sith.
Mr. Sith is one of his identities, yes. He was like Darth Vitiate, Tenebrae, Mr. Sith. Yeah, lots of different names there.
He wears sunglasses and strangers can turn into him.
Yeah.
Using the Matrix. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That
Okay,
tracks.
it took me a second. But I will say that it's easy for me to say that where I'm like, they'll probably do something new, where I'm like, I'm not really invested in that game. And I'm sure a lot of people are on the other side of that, and they're very invested and they want that to become canon. So like, that's valid too.
Saturn 537 wants to know why R2 got depressed over losing Luke but not Anakin.
Well, we don't know that he didn't. I mean, we don't have his full story for that 19 years in between episodes 3 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did get depressed and then went through all the stages of grief, but then kind of like settled into the stage of grumpiness. That's one of the stages, right?
Yeah.
And that's why when we see him in A New Hope, he's spitting insults left and right.
His language is off the charts. He's pretty surly. And maybe he did shut down for a while. We don't know for sure. I think he's in the Ahsoka novel, which is a year after. So I guess he didn't shut down. But also, I would say that I guess it feels like R2 was with Anakin a lot longer because we have so much content about them during the Clone Wars. But really, he was with Luke for far longer than he was with Anakin. He was with Luke for like 25 years after Return of the Jedi. So we're talking like 30 years with Luke versus like 3 with Anakin.
Oh, yeah.
So
sorry, Anakin. R2 was probably like, well, I saw this coming from a mile away. Nobody else did.
I've been beeping about this guy. He's been throwing up red flags and no one listened to me. But there is that too, that like Anakin did some real bad stuff and R2 is probably like, okay, I'll just like, I'm sad about this, but I'm going to just back away. And that's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.